Could Greater Idaho actually become real? Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is another declaration of truth from your host, Terry A. Hurlbut. The Greater Idaho movement, the most prominent interstate secession movement in the United States today, overcame a few more obstacles. A bill to invite Oregon's eastern counties to join Idaho has passed Idaho's lower house. Furthermore, Greater Idaho sympathetic senators have introduced a bill in the Senate of Oregon to discuss letting those counties go. Success is far from certain, but Greater Idaho is now significantly closer to it. Today, I'm going to show you why. But first, I do want to shout out to the prime sponsor of this channel, which is Conservative News and Views. Link in the description. And be sure to check out the awesome CNAV store. Scroll down near the bottom for that link. Lots of great merchandise there, especially this t-shirt that I have chosen for today, which reads, "Freedom isn't free." One more thing. If you like what you're about to hear, you can like this video. You can also click the bell icon to get a notice every time I come out with a new one. In fact, do you see the new icon, the heart shape with the US dollar sign in it? That's the Super Thanks icon. If you really want to keep these videos coming, click that and leave me a tip. Any currency will do, so long as it's legal tender. Now, I realize some of you might have forgotten what Greater Idaho is. Greater Idaho refers both to an Idaho to include Oregon's eastern counties, or to the organization hoping to bring that about. And I have a link in the description to the organization's homepage. That organization's leaders want to live under a conservative government, not a leftist one. And they lament the consistent outvoting of conservatives, the conservative eastern Oregonians, mainly by residents of Multnomah, Marion, Polk, and Lane counties. These are the counties where lie the cities of Portland, Salem, which straddles Marion and Polk counties, and Eugene. Portland especially competes heavily for the distinction of America's wokest city. My site, Conservative News and Views, has a wealth of reportage on the sorry state of life in Portland. Let me give you 5 examples. Did you know that Starbucks closed some of their latte bars in Portland because the local denizens kept attacking their customers and baristas? Did you hear about the mayor of Portland dealing with homeless camps near school walking routes? There's one that ought to boil your blood. A murder suspect gets out on bail because the city's residents have started some kind of freedom fund for ordinary criminals. What does he do when he gets out? He kills again. How about the coffee shop owner who suffered vandalism because he held an event titled Coffee with a Cop? What about the unsub who spray canned a murderous message on a pro-life billboard in Portland? Now, I'm not even going to tell you what the spray can message said. Yuck! It's disgusting. Definitely not safe for work. Governor Kate Brown, who won re-election by the skin of her teeth last midterms, commuted all death sentences last December. Death is an irreversible punishment, she said. Hey lady, murder is an irreversible crime. Last November, she also pardoned thousands of marijuana possession convicts. Now that last act might further incense Idahoans who already see Oregon's permissiveness in this area as a values threat and as a safety hazard for themselves. Hold that thought. I'm going to come back to it. Since the last time I talked about this, Greater Idaho has improved their tally of counties voting to join Idaho from 9 to 11. Morrow and Wheeler counties passed their yes resolutions last midterms. But county officials in Wallowa County were denying the Greater Idaho signature gatherers had the signatures to put a yes referendum on the ballot. Now, Greater Idaho formally submitted a petition on December 29th, 2022. The Wallowa County Clerk has since acknowledged that the organization had enough signatures. Wallowa County will vote on May 23rd on whether to join Greater Idaho or not. That still leaves Gilliam, Umatilla, Crook, Deschutes, and Wasco counties even to consider voting on secession. Klamath, Lake, Harney, Malheur, Grant, Baker, Union, Jefferson, and Sherman counties have already voted yes. On January 10th, Greater Idaho reported that a bill to invite the state of Idaho to start talking about relocating the Oregon-Idaho border had had its first reading in the Senate of Oregon. The bill, SJM 2, sets forth several historical findings. Among them, Oregon and Washington State adjusted their border in 1958, so this wouldn't be the first movement of an Oregon border, though everyone knows that the earlier movement was not nearly so drastic. Then came the event that has given Greater Idaho its greatest impetus thus far. But before I tell you what that is, I want to shout out to the sponsor who can really help you through the economic storms to come. That sponsor is oursilverlines.com. Do you feel like you're working harder for your money just to get by? You are not alone. The fluctuating economy, employment issues, unexpected changes in life have left many families struggling over the past few years. Collecting gold and silver can help shield you against many of these challenges. But if you're like me many years ago, you don't know where or how to start. Our Silver Lines helps by connecting you with thousands of members who are learning the secrets to creating and protecting true wealth by collecting precious metals. Whether you just want to collect rare and unique coins or take advantage of the business opportunities this company provides, either way, they can help you learn to live an exceptional life. Visit oursilverlines.com. Learn how you can build a legacy for your future. And now, the latest big event. On February 1st, Idaho State Representatives Judy Boyle and Barbara Ahart introduced HJM 1, a bill to invite Oregon to talk to Idaho about moving the border. The bill went to the Oregon House Committee on State Affairs. I have a link in the description to a YouTube video of that hearing. Representative Boyle, now this is not the head of Greater Idaho, this is a representative of the Idaho legislature, listed several advantages to Idaho of becoming Greater Idaho, adding a population of 380,000, and with it, a United States House seat. $170 million more in tax revenues every year, and that's not even accounting for how certain businesses in those counties could prosper because they could operate with many fewer restrictions. Allowing Oregonians to become Idahoans without moving into existing Idaho, thus sparing Idaho the crowding and traffic problems that would result, and eliminating a source of marijuana and hard drugs which in the moving Oregon counties would become illegal once more. You remember how Governor Brown pardoning all those marijuana possessors? Well, that wouldn't happen in those counties anymore. Representative Boyle lives right across the border from what would be the new annex. And hey, it's a problem that would go away if those counties joined Idaho. Representative Boyle cited a Claremont Institute study on the economic impact of moving the border. Claremont found that eastern and southern Oregon are a drain on the state's budget. Portland's high-income residents are paying for the privilege of counting eastern and southern Oregon as a part of their state. They're paying to the tune of $360 per resident per year, or $690 per wage earner per year. Would Idahoans get stuck with that kind of tab? No. According to Claremont, the region would easily pay for its own upkeep and see 2.1% growth in gross domestic product. On February 13th, the Idaho House passed HJM 1 by a vote of 41 to 28. I have a link in the description to the YouTube video of the hour-long session of the Idaho State House when they passed that bill. The bill now goes to the Senate of Idaho. Greater Idaho quickly pointed out the results of a poll of residents of the Willamette Valley. Now recall, residents of northwestern Oregon subsidized southern and eastern Oregon to the tune of $690 per wage earner per year. Only 3% of residents surveyed in Willamette Valley are willing to pay more than $500 a year for the dubious privilege of hanging on to those counties. Do those residents not know how much they're paying as it is? Well, maybe some of them found out last year before the taking of this poll. 68% of the sample said yes, Oregon should look into letting those counties go. Only 20% said no, and the rest weren't sure. Moreover, 66% of Democrats in that valley said yes. An even larger majority, 81%, wanted Oregon to try to address the discontent in the eastern and southern counties. That included 79% of Democrats. The Willamette Valley is Oregon's wine country, their counterpart to California's Napa Valley. That valley includes all the three major cities of Oregon: Portland, Salem, Eugene. If Greater Idaho succeeds in its vision, 11% of valley residents said they would very likely move. Another 11% say they were somewhat likely to move to the new Idaho, and this included 50% of conservative residents of the valley. Results like these show that the only reason for Oregon's leaders to tighten their grip on the eastern and southern counties is spite. True, Oregon would hand over a House district to Idaho, but that would be Oregon's second district, which is Republican anyway. The movement of conservatives out of the Willamette Valley might flip Oregon's 5th district from Republican back to Democratic. Democrats have carried the district in the last three recent presidential elections as it is. So the only thing the National Democratic Party would lose would be one electoral vote from Oregon to Idaho. I have not seen any polling in northwestern Oregon outside the Willamette Valley, but at least within the valley, Democratic voters are not so spiteful. Convince them that they can save $690 per wage earner per year in taxes if they would let those counties go, they'd vote in a heartbeat to let them go. And Idaho would have little reason to fear that those extra 380,000 residents would flip Idaho Democratic. Representative Cliff Bentz, the Republican congressman in Oregon's 2nd district, shellacked his Democratic opponent 2-1 in midterms. Those who voted for him have also voted to join Idaho, and with high enthusiasm. Bet on it. Of course, Oregon and National Democrats might not want to admit that the rural-urban divide is such that rural folk no longer feel that they have adequate representation in their legislature. And to be woke is to be spiteful, and extremely so. Nevertheless, sheer practicality might dictate letting Greater Idaho come to fruition. Before I close, let me mention one thing about the video's thumbnail. That is a map of Oregon showing the boundary of Greater Idaho slashing through it, the county lines, and current Oregon Senate districts. The Greater Idaho organization drew that map, and they have released it without copyright for use by the media. Links to the description of the article, to the Greater Idaho House homepage, to the videos of the hearings of the Idaho House State Affairs Committee and the full Idaho House, to my Declarations of Truth Twitter account, and to Conservative News and Views. I've also left links to the Awesome CNAV store and to rsilverlines.com, as I also mentioned. You know already about how to like a video, turn on notifications, and leave a tip. And on the end screen, I'm going to leave a subscribe link to my channel, and a link to my earlier video about interstate secession, and links to both those videos about hearings on that Idaho invitational bill. This is Terry A. Hurlbut delivering another declaration of truth and reminding you to let the truth set you free.